Welcome to
Jerry's Book Tree.
today's story.
Mummy Madness, wrapped up in ancient Egypt. Sylvester, the cat, eagerly eyed Granny and Tweety on a set at the Warner Bros. Studio. When Granny walked away, Sylvester slowly crawled toward Tweety. The little yellow bird looked too good to resist. Suddenly, Sylvester got tangled up in a cord, and a stage light fell right on top of his head. Ouch! Granny and the crew ran toward him and right past him. They all crowded around Tweety because a little bolt had fallen on his head. "What about my poor little head?" Sylvester mumbled. Nobody paid attention to him. Sylvester stomped into a nearby room. He sat down and turned on his favorite TV channel, the Cat Story channel. It was all about cats. All the time, on screen, was a gold statue of a cat. Cats were sacred animals in ancient Egypt, the narrator said. Back then, a cat would be treated like a king. Sylvester sprang up. This TV show had given him an idea. He could go back in time to ancient Egypt. His life would be so much better there. Everyone would adore him. All he had to do was get there, and he knew exactly how to do it. Sylvester ran out onto the lot and entered stage 51. There was a space replacer. This machine could send anyone, anywhere, at any time. And Sylvester knew exactly where he wanted to go. He stepped up to the machine and typed in the words Ancient Egypt. Sylvester uses a space replacer, a time machine, to send him any place at any time. Sylvester will take a special replacer wristwatch with him. The watch will give him facts about where he is. The watch will also give him a checkpoint that he has to reach by a certain time so that he can return home. Sylvester was ready to slap on the replacer wristwatch when he heard a familiar voice. "Oh, Sylvester, Tweety is missing." Granny stood in the doorway. He didn't want Granny to know what he was up to. He'd have to postpone his trip until they found the little twerp. But hours later, no one had spotted Tweety anywhere. Sylvester couldn't wait any longer. He rushed back to stage 51. The space replacer was still set for ancient Egypt. "Here I come, Egyptians," he said. "Get ready to love me." He pressed the red button and zap, a laser beam shot out of the machine. Bump! Sylvester landed on a smooth gray rock surrounded by water. He could see a glittering palace nearby, but the rock began to move beneath his feet as a hippopotamus rose from the water. The angry hippo flipped Sylvester into the air like a cook flipping a pancake. This time, Sylvester came down on what he thought was a green rock, but it was really a crocodile. "Ouch!" he cried. Sylvester bounced from one crocodile to another until he reached the shore. After finally arriving on land, Sylvester pushed the black button on the replacer wristwatch to see where he was. Where? Ancient Egypt. When? 50 BC. Who? 2 travelers, 1 missing. Time remaining, 5 hours. Return checkpoint, the crocodile pit. A hippo, short for hippopotamus, is a large mammal with a thick, hairless body that is found in and near rivers in Africa. Something puzzles Sylvester. The replacer said there were 2 travelers in ancient Egypt, not 1. There had to be some mistake. He tapped his paw on the screen, but nothing changed. He shrugged. "Enough checking," he said. "It's time for Sylvester to be treated like a king." Sylvester strolled across the sand to the palace. 2 guards stood in front of the entrance, blocking Sylvester's way. "Sorry," said the tall guard. "No cats allowed." "There must be some mistake," Sylvester said. "I was watching the Cat Story channel, and it said that cats are supposed to be adored here." Suddenly, a guard cried, "All hail Queen Cleopatra." The guards at the entrance bowed deeply. Sylvester watched as a beautiful woman came through the archway. On her arm sat a little yellow bird. "Tweety?" Sylvester couldn't believe his eyes. "Hello, buddy Dap," Tweety said, waving. Tweety explained how he got to ancient Egypt. That little bump on my head got me so confused I flew right into the big button on that silly machine. A light zapped me, and the next thing I knew, I was here. Cleopatra patted Tweety's head. Poor little Tweety. Citizens of Egypt, Cleopatra said, this little golden bird has stolen my heart. Anyone causing him harm will face the most terrible punishment. Furthermore, all cats will be banned from my palace. Just my luck, Sylvester thought. Maybe it's time to give up and go home. Each guard grabbed one of Sylvester's arms. You heard the queen, the short guard growled. No cats allowed. Queen of Egypt. Cleopatra was about 17 years old when she became the Queen of Egypt. She had an enchantingly musical voice and lots of charisma. She was also highly intelligent. She spoke 9 languages and proved to be a smart politician. Determined to make Tweety come home with him, Sylvester made his way around the palace and climbed a palm tree to get a closer look. Ouch! A mean-looking bulldog had climbed up behind him and yanked on his tail. Grrr, the bulldog growled. Sylvester thought fast. Look over there, it's a giant bone, he cried, pointing. The dog turned his head to look. Quick as a flash, Sylvester ran past him. Up ahead, he saw a dark opening at the pyramid's base. Sylvester quickly ducked inside. It was a mummy room, filled with piles of white cloth. Mummy room. This is a mummification room. The ancient Egyptians preserved the bodies of the dead by turning them into mummies. Suddenly the bulldog appeared and chased Sylvester around this strange room. The dog picked up a cloth that got wrapped around Sylvester. Soon the cat was covered from head to toe. When the dog saw the cloth cover Sylvester, he yelped and ran away. Sylvester caught sight of his reflection in one of the metal tools and screamed, "A mummy!" In a panic, he tried to run but couldn't. His body was completely covered in white cloth, just like a mummy. That's when he realized that he was the mummy. Sylvester knew just what to do. He had seen enough spooky movies on TV. He stuck his arms out straight in front of him. Then he walked stiffly out of the room and across the sand. Ooh, Sylvester moaned as he entered the palace, scaring off the guards. Sylvester found Tweety taking a nap in the palace and grabbed him in his paw. He wasn't going to leave this annoying bird behind to get the royal treatment that belonged to Sylvester, especially since Egypt was no longer cat-friendly. Oh, poor Sylvester, cried Tweety. Do you get a boo-boo? We'll have to make it back home or we'll be stuck here forever, Sylvester said, checking the replacer. There was only 1 hour left. He ran out of the palace with Tweety. Where? Ancient Egypt. When? 50 BC. Who? 2 travelers. Time remaining. 60 minutes. Return checkpoint. The crocodile pit. The giant pyramids of Egypt were built as tombs to serve as the burial places of the great Egyptian pharaohs. But Tweety did not want to go with Sylvester. He liked ancient Egypt. So he tricked the cat into letting go of him, and he flew to the top of a pyramid. Sylvester had no choice but to climb up and get the little bird. He huffed and puffed his way to the tippy top of the pyramid. But when Sylvester looked down, he realized there was nothing to hold on to. Sylvester slid all the way back down to the ground. The palace guards captured Sylvester once again and brought him before Cleopatra. But Tweety wasn't with him. Just then, the queen heard Tweety scream for help. Tweety bird, Cleopatra cried. Tweety was trapped in the crocodile pit. Knowing this was the checkpoint to get home, Sylvester rushed out of the palace and without hesitation climbed down into the pit to rescue Tweety. He had to hurry. There were only 5 minutes left. The sound of snapping crocodile teeth got louder and louder the deeper he went. He found Tweety on top of a small rock, trying to stay out of the terrifying crocodile's jaws. Sylvester managed to grab Tweety just as a ball of light shot out of the replacer and zapped them. Instantly, the two were back at stage 51 on the Warner Bros. Lot. The Nile crocodiles have been on Earth for 200 million years. A crocodile's huge mouth is filled with sharp teeth. Now crocodiles eat mostly fish and water creatures, but they also eat mammals, such as lions, buffalo, and black and white cats. Oh goody, chirped Tweety. We're home. I can't wait to see Granny. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps filled the hallway. Granny, Porky Pig, Bugs Bunny, and Daffy Duck came running into stage 51. Tweety Bud, you're back, Granny said. The other Looney Tunes characters fussed over Tweety. Nobody noticed poor Sylvester, who sighed and slumped out of the room. He went into a nearby room and turned on the TV. Archaeologists. People who dig up and study ancient ruins and artifacts such as pottery, bones, and statues. It was still tuned to that Cat Story channel, and there on the TV screen was a rude reminder of Sylvester's failed trip to Egypt. Archaeologists uncovered a giant statue of Tweety. Suffering Succotash, wailed Sylvester.